From the word reform, we use it loosely. Reform is not merely any word used. Reform is about altering incentives to change the outcome. The purpose of reform is to make us collectively behave differently to get a better and more outcome. If the reform doesn't achieve that, the reform is failure. It's only a word. There's no time to go into details of how to do it. It's a very complex thing. It's a lifetime's learning for me. I can't transfer that. I'm trying my best, but I can't transfer that in any way in a few minutes. But I'm just going to give you some pointers. So don't ever make the ignorant, the innocent, the poor, the illiterate, the victims of Indian democracy the villains. It's arrogant, it's untrue, it's immoral, it's unproductive, and it's dangerous. They're the victims. Ultimately, you and I are not the people who are suffering from our democratic failures. It is the poorest of the poor who are suffering. Their kids are as bright as you, but they have no chance in hell. No matter how bright they have no chance at all, for no fault of theirs. Because of the third-rate, disgusting schooling system in this country. Their families suffer perpetual poverty for no fault of theirs, because there is no health care worth mentioning for most of the people in this country. 60 million people become poor in India every year. They were not poor earlier, at the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, 60 million people, as big as a country like Britain, they become poor in India because of lack of health care system. They are the victims, they are not villains. If you don't understand that, you are taking your privilege for granted. You are becoming arrogant, insensitive, irrelevant citizens of this country. I'm using tough words. We are all privileged, we are lucky. You are very fortunate. Your parents sacrificed a great deal. You got the opportunities others did not have. You may complain 1,000 things. But look at the hundreds of millions of teeming people of this country. For no fault of theirs, how their lives are completely stagnated. Blaming them is the stupidest thing we can do to ourselves. How do you make them fulfill their potential? If that does not drive you, if that is not a moral impulse, that's not a sense of purpose that drives you, then all life is meaningless. It has no purpose. All our talk is irrelevant. It's cheap. Very perfunctory, very Indian. We are good with bhashans. So don't ever treat the victims of poverty and misgovernance as the villains. Think deeply. There's not much time to discuss many things, but I try to collectively bring a sense of how to look at problems. Some of it is a little new, some of it is very old, nothing new, original. Most wisdom is not very original. It's just the way you look at things slightly differently. And if you start looking at it honestly, beyond your stupid textbooks and examinations and cramming and mass copying, many avenues, many vistas open up. That's what true leadership is. True leadership is not simply following the crowd. It's not simply following the applause. It's not simply doing for applause. We discussed many things about leadership, but one thing we didn't discuss. A true leader leads. Even if the vast majority opposes, if the true leader understands what is right, what is wrong, the true leader leads. He doesn't simply follow like sheep. Or she doesn't follow like sheep. Lead. Not always with power, but with influence. Not always with weapons, but with wisdom. Not always with money, but with ideas. I wish you all the very best. Good luck.